Chapter 1. The Day My Son Became a Stranger. I never thought I'd write something like this. You raise a child, you give them your time, your money, your love, and you believe, naively, that loyalty flows both ways. But last year, I learned just how wrong I was. I'm 62. I built a small construction company from scratch. I didn't inherit a penny. I started with a rusty pickup truck, one old toolbox, and the determination to never be broke again. Over 30 years, I turned that into a business with 5 crews, steady contracts, and enough profit to pay off my house and put money away for retirement. My wife passed away 10 years ago, so it was just me and my only son, Daniel. He was 28, smart, charismatic, and the kind of guy who could talk his way into or out of anything. I always thought that charm would help him in business one day. In late 2023, I had a heart attack. It wasn't massive, but enough for the doctors to tell me to slow down. I was in the hospital for almost a month. During that time, Daniel visited every day. He told me not to worry about the company, that he'd keep things running. He also offered to help pay bills and handle the paperwork while I focused on recovery. I trusted him. Of course I did. He's my son. The day I came home from the hospital, I found something odd. My office was spotless. Too spotless. Files gone, contracts gone. My old safe was missing. When I asked Daniel, he said he moved everything online for convenience. I didn't think much of it, until a week later, I received a letter from the bank. It wasn't my mortgage statement. It was a notice of property transfer. I froze. According to the document, my house, the house I'd owned outright for 12 years, was no longer mine. It was now legally in Daniel's name. I called him immediately. He sounded calm, cold, like I was a stranger. "Dad, relax. I just put it in my name for now. It's easier for taxes and business stuff." I told him to put it back into my name. He laughed. "You don't get it, do you? The business is mine now. Everything's mine. You built it, but I'm the one who's going to take it further. You should be thanking me." That's when my blood truly went cold. I checked the company's registration online. He had officially filed for full ownership. My signature was on the transfer forms. I'd never signed them. It hit me. He'd forged my signature while I was in the hospital. 1 week later, I showed up at my old office, and security told me I wasn't allowed in. My son had literally locked me out of my own life. I went home, or tried to. The locks had been changed. When I confronted Daniel in person, he didn't yell, he didn't apologize, he just smirked and said, "You're old, Dad. You were going to retire anyway. This is just speeding things up." That night, I slept in my truck. My own son had taken my home, my business, my savings, and he didn't even flinch. And in that freezing truck, staring at the ceiling, I decided I'm gonna take it all back.
Chapter 2. Taking Back What's Mine. For the first 2 weeks after Daniel threw me out, I was a ghost in my own life. I lived in my truck, showered at a gym, and ate at cheap diners. I could have called the police. Forgery is a crime. But here's the thing. My son was clever. Every transfer, every signature, it was technically legal on paper. I knew going to court would take years, and I didn't have years to waste sleeping in a parking lot. So I decided to fight him on his battlefield, quietly. I started calling old clients, pretending I was just checking in. Almost every single one told me the same thing. Daniel's screwing up. He'd raised prices, missed deadlines, and ignored calls. Some contracts were already canceled. I didn't tell them the truth. I just listened, smiled, and said, "If you ever need quality work again, give me a call." At the same time, I visited a lawyer friend, not for a lawsuit, but for advice on business structure. He told me something that made my heart race. While Daniel had taken the main company, I still legally owned the trademark for the business name and logo. He'd transferred the assets, but he forgot about intellectual property. That was my opening. Within a week, I registered a new company under the same name, but with Ann's Sons at the end. Same logo, same colors. And then I called every former client and supplier, telling them my son's division was closing and I was restarting under my own branch. People were thrilled. They've been itching to dump Daniel anyway. I didn't stop there. Remember that safe that went missing from my office? I tracked it down. Daniel had moved it to his apartment, thinking it was just full of old papers. Inside was a stack of original signed contracts and proof of my ownership of several valuable equipment leases. One quiet night, while he was out partying, I let myself in with a spare key I'd kept. I took the safe, the documents, and, this part was almost poetic, the fancy Rolex I'd given him for his 21st birthday. 3 months later, Daniel's company collapsed. No clients, no suppliers, no credit. And then came the final blow, the IRS. You see, Daniel had been creative with the books. The same suppliers I'd spoken to, they all filed complaints about unpaid invoices. The taxman swooped in like a hawk, and I didn't have to lift a finger. He called me one night, first time in months. His voice wasn't cocky anymore. It was scared. "Dad, I'm in trouble. I think I'm going to lose everything." I let the silence stretch. Then I said, "You already lost everything. You just didn't realize it yet." And I hung up. Today, I'm back in my house. My new company is smaller, but it's mine. Every brick, every nail. As for Daniel, we haven't spoken since. People ask if I miss him. I don't. The man who did what he did to me isn't my son. He's just a stranger who used to live here.